Hey, Caitlin! Can you make it from there?
Nike didn't tease this moment, they detonated it, and the ripple hit the entire sports industry at once. Caitlin Clark didn't just appear in a viral ad, she quietly announced a power shift that nobody in women's sports was ready for.
Hey, Caitlin, how about from here?
Come on, guys.
Yeah, she can't make it from there.
No chance.
Caitlin, conmigo, let. You got it.
The commercial landed without warning. No countdown clock, no slow rollout, no apology for taking up space on a day reserved for legends and blockbuster brands. 1 minute long, clean, confident, and loaded with meaning. While most people watched it as a feel-good holiday moment, industry insiders saw something else entirely. They saw leverage, they saw timing, they saw a declaration that Caitlin Clark is no longer being introduced to the world. She is being positioned to dominate it. Behind the scenes, this campaign had been brewing for months, quietly mapped out long before the public ever saw a single frame. Nike does not move casually, especially not on Christmas Day, and especially not with an athlete who hasn't even reached the prime of her professional career yet. This was not a celebration of what Caitlin has done. It was a statement about what she is about to become. The real announcement was never spoken out loud, but it was embedded in the structure, the casting, the confidence, and the fact that nobody in that ad ever looked down on her. They all challenged her, and she never hesitated.
Not even gonna ask.
Hey, Caitlin from here might be impressive. Am I right?
Whatever, Che.
So right here.
What made this moment explode online wasn't just the star power surrounding her, it was the reversal of hierarchy. The unspoken rule in sports marketing has always been that women athletes must be framed as inspirational, relatable, or symbolic. This ad shattered that formula. Caitlin wasn't there to be admired, she was there to be tested, and the message was brutal in its simplicity. Test her if you want, she will pass, every time. But this didn't come out of nowhere. Long before packed arenas, television contracts, and endorsement wars, Caitlin Clark was building something that didn't look impressive on the surface. It looked lonely, cold, repetitive, and slightly unhinged to anyone watching from the outside. While other kids were chasing trophies, she was chasing control over her mechanics. That obsession created a player who doesn't react to pressure, she invites it.
From anywhere.
All right, well, looks like she can do it.
There is old tea that rarely gets discussed because it doesn't fit the highlight reels. Early in her development, several influential evaluators questioned whether her style would ever be allowed to flourish at the highest level. Not because it didn't work, but because it disrupted systems. Coaches worried she would force uncomfortable decisions. Defenders hated guarding her because traditional coverage simply did not apply. Analysts quietly suggested she might need to tone it down to fit professional schemes. She never did. Instead, the schemes began adjusting to her. That resistance is part of what makes the Nike moment so loaded. For years, women's basketball has been forced to prove it could survive, under constraints designed by people who never imagined this level of attention. Caitlin didn't wait for permission. She created a product that demanded space. Ratings followed, revenue followed, and suddenly, conversations that were once theoretical became urgent. How do you market a player who doesn't need to be explained? How do you contain a brand that grows faster than the infrastructure around it? The viral ad answered that question without saying a word. You don't contain her, you amplify her. And that choice alone sent shockwaves through endorsement circles. Competing brands reportedly scrambled to reassess their women's portfolios after seeing the response. Because this wasn't just about Caitlin, it was about the realization that the ceiling everyone assumed existed might have been imaginary all along. There is also recent tea floating quietly in industry circles that this campaign was only phase one. Insiders have hinted that the ad was deliberately restrained, almost minimal, because what's coming next is designed to be unavoidable. The silence from Caitlin herself following the release was strategic. No victory lap or exposure, just letting the moment breathe while the internet did the work for her. That restraint is rare in an era where athletes are expected to capitalize instantly, and it's part of why executives are taking her so seriously. Another overlooked detail is who the ad was actually speaking to. Yes, it thrilled fans. Yes, it inspired young players. But its real audience was corporate decision makers who still treat women's sports like a risk instead of an asset. Nike essentially dared them to keep pretending this is niche. When you put this level of polish, confidence, and cultural relevance behind one athlete, you are not guessing anymore. You are investing with intent. Caitlin's rise has also reopened uncomfortable conversations within the basketball world itself. There are whispers about jealousy, about resentment, about players who believe the spotlight arrived too quickly or too forcefully. That tension isn't new, but it has intensified as the numbers continue to validate her impact. Attendance spikes, broadcast metrics jump, merchandise moves at speeds previously reserved for men's leagues. The data makes it impossible to argue that this is hype without substance. What's fascinating is how Caitlin has navigated this without becoming defensive or divisive. She doesn't publicly engage in drama. She doesn't clap back. She lets performance speak and branding amplify. That silence is not weakness, it's discipline, and Nike recognized it immediately. They didn't need a loud spokesperson. They needed a presence so undeniable that it forced the conversation to change around her. There is older speculation that Nike has been grooming her for a signature role much earlier than anyone realized. Some insiders believe the company began tracking her market potential before her record-breaking seasons, quietly monitoring engagement patterns, youth influence, and crossover appeal. The viral ad wasn't a test, it was a confirmation, a final green light. This also explains why the campaign leaned so heavily into challenge instead of praise. Praise expires. Challenge invites longevity. By framing Caitlin as someone who thrives under skepticism, Nike aligned her brand with endurance rather than trend. That matters when you are planning for years, not months. Another layer that makes this moment explosive is timing. Women's basketball is not emerging anymore. It has arrived, and Caitlin sits at the intersection of talent, narrative, and cultural hunger. Audiences are ready, sponsors are ready. The only thing missing was a figure bold enough to anchor the movement without watering it down. This ad effectively crowned her without saying the word crown. There is also speculation that this campaign intentionally avoided traditional emotional beats because those are coming later. This was the introduction of authority. The next phase is identity. When her signature line eventually drops, it won't feel like a gamble. It will feel overdue. And that is the most dangerous position an athlete can occupy, because inevitability is the strongest currency in marketing. What scares people behind the scenes isn't that Caitlin is popular, it's that she's sustainable. Her appeal isn't built on controversy or novelty. It's built on repetition, discipline, and proof. That kind of brand doesn't burn out easily. It compounds. And when it compounds in women's sports, it exposes how much opportunity was ignored for decades. Even the way the ad circulated mattered. It didn't rely on forced virality. It traveled organically through disbelief. People weren't sharing it to support women's basketball. They were sharing it because it was undeniable. That distinction changes everything. There is quiet talk that other leagues are now reevaluating how they introduce their next generation of stars, realizing that soft launches and cautious narratives might be costing them relevance. Caitlin didn't wait for consensus. She stepped forward and let the reaction catch up. What makes this announcement feel huge is that it didn't ask anyone to believe. It assumed belief was already there, and that confidence is contagious. When brands move like that, they are not following culture, they are shaping it. This wasn't a commercial designed to make you feel good for 60 seconds. It was designed to recalibrate expectations, to tell every young player watching that excellence doesn't need to be explained, softened, or justified, and to tell every executive watching that the future will not wait for comfort. The scariest part for the industry is that Caitlin Clark is still ascending. This is not the peak, this is positioning, and once positioning is locked in, momentum becomes almost impossible to stop. The viral ad wasn't the headline, it was the warning label. This wasn't about shoes, screens, or holiday hype. It was about claiming space that can't be taken back. And now that Caitlin Clark has stepped fully into it, the industry has no choice but to follow. Let us know your views in the comments below.